Mm.
All right, here we are. We all know what's happening tonight. The comments are already flooding in. Tristan Yance says, I tucked my son in faster than ever tonight. I couldn't miss this. We just have so many comments already ready for David Greene. Barry Kluger says, I made up an excuse with a friend so I could watch this. Jane Bretschneider says, same for me. I just left a dinner hosted by friends before dessert. And with good reason. We have not only David Greene, who you've been asking for months for this. We also have Ronald Held, who we did our last show with in 1992. Like, where's Ronald Held been? We're going to find out tonight. And let's start off. And I promise you, we're gonna see David. People are asking, like, is he going to talk? I don't know. I really don't know. I hope he does, but I don't know. I promise you, I don't have any control over David Greene, nor do I have any control over Ronald Held. But I'm going to now introduce Ronald Held, who was on 6 Beyond Vaudeville episodes. So he's really part of our Beyond Vaudeville family. He's just a great guy. And I met him at a creation convention, which was these old science fiction conventions that we used to have in New York. And without further ado, let's please welcome Ronald Held. Ronald? No? Oh, that's David. David? All right. I don't think David's ready just yet. See, he's here. There's Ronald. Hi, Ronald.
It's good to be back after all these years.
After all these years. Well, it's great to have you back. And where are you these days? You're in Pennsylvania?
Yes, I'm still in Pennsylvania, which means I'm 3 hours later than you. David, who knows where he really exists?
Right. Now, we met at creation conventions. Yeah. And when I was trying to find you, to catch up with you, I actually found you in some Star Trek bulletin board. You're pretty active there these days?
Oh, I think you're talking Trek BBS. Yes, I've been on that a very long time.
And what are the what's the big hot topic these days on the Trek BBS?
There's so many new threads being created that I don't really have a count. Probably they do, but I don't.
Got it.
Because there's so much on the internet these days compared to dial-up modems that I can't cover it all.
Got it. And have you now? Are you still collecting comics? Do you still buy comics at all?
The comic collecting is sort of tailed off.
Ah, okay.
It's effectively done.
I have.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I have two here from my collection: Hee Haw comic and Bugaloos. Do these have much value?
That I couldn't say. It's probably like most other collectibles. How rare is it? What condition is it in?
Yeah,
How many did they make?
Unfortunately, I never really collected superhero comics. I just collected things like Hee Haw and Bugaloos. So I'm not sure how valuable those are. So, Ronald, I thought we would try to bring in David. You saw that he was there. And shall we bring him along?
Sure.
All right, David, here we are. It's been so many years.
It's agreeable to see you again, David.
David, Ronald Held, you haven't seen Ronald in years. Ronald, I'm presuming you haven't seen David in decades.
I have not.
All right. David, where are you? Where are you? Where are you right now? What are all those little things behind you? Well, I guess we can try to guess what Ronald, can you tell what those things are behind David? I see
Unfortunately not.
some plates on the wall, and well, David, maybe people are asking, are you going to talk during this? And I would hope that you would. I don't, maybe if you ask some questions, we can try. Let's see. Black Sheep, hello all from England. Love your shows. Okay. Any questions for David? Max Allison says, we've learned in the past that David's very, very unpredictable. Yes, that's true. Lots of people excited to see you, David. What do you have to say, David? It's been all these years. People are discovering the show, rediscovering the show now on YouTube. And are you? Oh, David, I can't believe you finally spoke, and it appears that you're muted.
You're still an idiot.
Okay, so that's that.
It's
That's
gratifying to know. It's gratifying to know that some things never change.
Yeah, and so I'm the idiot, but I guess Ronald is not. Ronald got a free pass on this one.
Moron.
Was that meant for Ronald or for me? You'd like to think about it a little bit. If you have questions for David or Ronald, we're happy to try to get them answered. I can't promise you anything, but we'll give it a try. Let's see. Borat 199, a lot of numbers, says, I'm glad Ronald is well. Let's see. Matt C says, so excited to see Ron. David, David, your camera went off. Okay. Well, let's just continue, Ronald.
All right.
He seems to have disappeared completely. All right. Well, let's hope David returns. Oh, there you are, David. See, you came back. I thought maybe you accidentally hit your camera, I guess, and that's why you were gone for a moment. But we're happy to see you back. So Ron, Matt C says, so excited to see Ron. He's a family friend. David, you just lost your camera again. It's hard to know if this is technical difficulties or if this is just David difficulties. He disappeared again. Okay, we'll keep going. So Ron, this is a family friend, Matt Chechia from San Diego, says hello.
Oh.
Do you know Matt?
I think if his last name is Chichia, the answer is yes.
Oh, Chechia, excuse me, mispronunciation.
That's all right.
So Ronald, I thought maybe I'd show just some clips of you when you were on the show, and you were on, as I said, multiple episodes. You were on with Lou Clarabelle Anderson, Little Mike Anderson from Twin Peaks, the world's fastest hot dog eater, Bobby Bars Pickett, Sammy Petrillo, Joey Faye, Ron Palillo, and many of our regulars like Trey Mann and William Brown. And let's just look at a couple of quick clips, and then we can talk about some of your memories of doing the show.
All right.
Held, would you like some Pop Rocks cotton candy?
No, I think I'll pass on it. How about your illustrious co-host?
Well,
here?
if you'd like to hand him some, maybe
Perhaps he would like some.
Why don't you have some of that, David? All right.
I don't think he wants any.
Okay. Why don't you
Maybe it's
All right.
I don't think he really wants it. Perhaps maybe later in the show.
Go ahead, have one. Go ahead. Come on. One bite for me. One bite
Well,
for
I'll
me.
try and pick it up, but I don't think it's going to stay in my hand.
One bite for me. Put it in the other hand.
Okay.
See? I told you. I'm not picking up any more hot dogs. Sorry.
Little backhand.
Okay. Would you like some cookies, Mario Brothers?
Yes, I would, but first I think I should be polite and offer it to Dave. Dave,
Okay.
would you like to join me in some of these fine cookies?
Dave, you remember Ronald Held?
Dave?
Dave? All right. David, why don't you have some of those?
I don't think he really wants one. Maybe I'll try one. Not bad. I think you ought to try them, Dave.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
maybe not.
Okay, then I'll tell you.
Dave? The award-winning program Beyond Vaudeville with your host, Frank Hope, who's going to be a little late today. And co-host...
And your co-host, David Greene.
Yes, as you can tell, I am not Frank. Unfortunately, he's been a little delayed, so I'm going to fill in for him, and hopefully he will show up a little later. Unfortunately, this is so sudden that I don't have a whole lot planned. Perhaps I can ask you what you'd like to say. Maybe happy autumnal equinox? Well, maybe not. We have a whole host of very interesting guests today, and I don't know which one is going to be more interesting. I'm quite interested in meeting the Star Trek expert. Maybe someone can teach me a few words of the Klingon language, since I know none of them. Gee.
Geek.
Yeah. Huh? Oh, look! Who's here?
I'm glad you made it, and thank you, Ronald, for starting the show. Okay.
Good to see you.
Good to see
Unfortunately,
you.
I was having a little problem talking to Dave.
That's
but...
okay. Just watch yourself coming through here.
Sure.
Maybe I can. Wait, how are we gonna?
I can get through it.
I'll go over this way, right, David? How are you? Okay. Oh boy,
You okay, Frank?
I'm okay.
You sure?
Okay. Sorry, David. Accidents happen, right? Okay. All right. Let's get the show on the road, right, as they say? Right? Okay. Okay, sorry, David.
So, David, you were especially, I see you're back. You were especially violent in some of those scenes. And it seems like maybe what would be in order at this point would be an apology. You don't necessarily have to do it for me, but maybe for Ronald, slapping those things out of his hand. And, I mean, anything you'd like to say to Ronald? Okay, I guess not, Ronald. So, Ronald, did you feel threatened in those scenes? Did you feel like David might actually hurt you at times?
No, not really. I assumed I could get out of the way faster.
Yeah. Well, I just, you never knew for sure. I remember I don't think you were there. One time we had Katie Dearlam on, who was,
No.
she was Helen Mellon in the Coney Island Sideshow. And Joey the monkey had thrown a piñata over to David, and David threw it back so quickly and with such ferocity that it actually hit Miss Dearlam's head. So you're really, I mean, you might have had a false sense of security there. You could have,
Perhaps.
yeah. David, some questions are coming in for you. Artificial Banana. David, are you on Facebook? Nod yes or no. Oh, that's smart, Artificial Banana. I don't see a nod, so I guess, well, we don't really know how to interpret that, do we? Amy Frushower Kelly asks, David, can you share a vegan recipe? I don't. David, anything on that? Amy, it's interesting that you bring up David's dietary habits, because we do have a clip of David eating a bowl of cereal or oatmeal with a tremendous amount of sugar. And I was going to run that clip. I don't know if everyone has seen this before or not, but
Mentioned in Cracked magazine for our live stage show that we did with we had Adam Batman West at our stage show, and that was in the that's not funny, David. Okay, also we had another guest, Danny Bonaducci from the Partridge Family, was at another one of our stage shows, and we have a picture of him there. Also, a good new book I found recently that I recommend, and it may be out of print, but it's Richard Dawson and Family Feud, and it's a whole book about the Family Feud program that's not on anymore, but it was a good show when it was on. Okay, also Tiddlywinks recently got a Tiddlywinks game, and I don't know if they're making these anymore either, but I like Tiddlywinks very much, and you probably will too if you play them and remember what it was like. Okay. Also, the Sunny Cocoa Puffs backpack was this you can find, and it's the guy with the cereal with the Cocoa Puffs. Also, there's the Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling backpack that you can hold all your things in when you go out. And also, there's so many things today. The Rabbi Ben dashboard that you hang from your window. It's a rabbi instead of one of those green tree things. Okay. Well, oh, David, isn't that great now? You're eating all that sugar. Well, I hope you enjoy it, and that's all going to catch up with you someday.
So, David, did that sugar catch up with you?
Idiot.
I don't remember that episode, unfortunately. I was not on.
Ronald, that was pretty early in our run. In fact,
Oh.
on that episode, we had Joyce Randolph, who just turned 99 yesterday. Joyce
Ooh.
Randolph, Joyce Randolph, who was Trixie on The Honeymooners. She just turned 99. And anyway, David proceeded to eat that entire bowl with all of that sugar in the course of the interview. And likewise, there was another episode where David had a glass of iced tea where he poured a tremendous amount of sugar where it just is that kind of syrup. David, I can talk about you all day long. This is a great opportunity for you to kind of, give your take on this and contribute, your feelings. Like, do you recommend eating that kind of sugar? And right now it looks like you've been eating a lot of lemons with that face, David. Got you on that one, right? So yeah, David would eat a lot of sugar, and occasionally it seemed like he would zone out a little bit from all of that. Let's see, questions. Abundant Universe is asking, did you actually run away with Underdog Lady and get married? Suzanne Muldowney. I don't know who that's directed at, but which of the three of us?
Can't be me.
Yeah, not you, Ronald.
No.
And let's see. Trey's World says, Ronald, I loved you as Mr. Incredible's boss in the movie. Did you have some role in that? Ronald, are you okay? Oh, there you go.
I am. The phone's not.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what. In that last clip, we were looking at a lot of things that I was showing from my collection. How about, for old time's sake, I can show some things, and David, you'll enjoy that. Admit it, right?
Oh, good.
Yeah, Ronald. Well, I know at least you'll enjoy it then.
Yes.
This is a Garbage Pail Kids folder. Now, get a load of this. on the front is Itchy Richie, right? Like me, it's a guy with bugs all over him. And then on the back, Dizzy Dave. Look at that, Dave. It's like you and me together on one folder. That's like really cool, right?
Child.
Okay, child. Yes, this was originally designed for children, but adults can enjoy it too. It's funny, right? Like it's itchy. You know, he's itchy because he has bugs all over him, and he's dizzy because he's all twisted up, right? So you don't have to be just a kid to enjoy these things, David. Right, Ronald?
Certainly not.
Yeah, back me up on this, Ronald. How about now? This is cool too. A Mr. T puzzle. It's they call them tray puzzles. Where it only has about 12 pieces, and it's sealed. So that's pretty cool. The value really goes up on these things, right, Ronald, when they're sealed?
Usually, yes.
Yeah. So, David, I think in the case of this, you're probably envious that I have something so rare. I mean, who knows what this could be worth? This could be like some people collect, I don't know, whatever, Bitcoins or what. This is something that really, will hold its value. How about this? Where's the beef? This is like an oven mitt kind of thing. You remember that, Ronald? Where's the beef?
As a commercial, yes.
Yeah.
Not the mitt itself.
Yeah. So Clara Peller, yeah, right? They began putting her face on all these products.
Yes.
So David, that's pretty cool, right? And you can't really say it's childish, right? This is something an adult would use in a kitchen situation. You could keep it on a tabletop to put a hot item on it to protect the wood, a finish. So David, you should actually like this. This is practical. It's something that, is really used more by adults than children. All right. How about this is interesting. Ronald, I know we talked a lot about comics, and there used to be these ads where you would get 100 soldiers in a Foot Locker. Do you remember those ads?
50s through maybe 1970s. I'm
Yeah,
not sure I'm not sure it went quite that far into the 70s.
Well, I sent away, and it took forever to get this in the mail. The Foot Locker ended up being this little cardboard box, and they would just mail it out in this box. And these 100 soldiers, they were all like these bone-thin figures. It looked nothing like the illustration in the comics. And I guess I was a naive child. I was a child then, David. But did you ever send away for anything like that, Ronald?
I can't recall that.
No.
Otherwise,
Okay.
I'd probably have a story similar to you saying I anticipated something a whole lot better.
In a nutshell, that's exactly what happened, Ronald. Thank you. You always had a way of being very succinct and articulate, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. How about David? I guess since you're not really speaking, why don't we show a time? This was early on when I couldn't make it to a taping, and David ended up hosting the show. Ronald, you probably never even seen this.
No, I have not.
So, I'll just show a quick clip from it. But basically, I had I was throwing out in New York City, a lot of the apartment buildings have these chutes where you put your garbage into the chute. And I was stuffing a garbage bag into one of these little chutes and a can lid from a cat food can sliced into my thumb. And so obviously I couldn't go do the show. But David was he stepped up to the plate. He hosted the show, and let's take a look at that.
Beyond Vaudeville program. I got rid of that joker, Frank Hope. I actually locked him in his apartment. You know, all the garbage he'd put around the set, all those bad guests that he'd get, you know, it was like, it was all these stupid things he'd show at the beginning of the show. You know, it's like, you know, here's some important news. Prime rate cut 1/2 point to 11%. Do you know how this affects the economy? Do you know how this affects how we all live? Consumers can go out and buy, they borrow, they buy. It gets the economy going. Banks, people can go out and borrow for a home. You know, a home building gets going, construction, materials get bought, etc. A lot of things associated with. This is important stuff. Frank won't show important news like this. You know the garbage he shows at the beginning of the show. Next, we have Suzanne Muldowney. Suzanne, we only have 2 minutes left for the whole show, so you'll have to go very quickly. How much time? Suzanne?
Can you hear me?
Could I ask you, Suzanne, and I would like to point out, this is a Frank Hope guest. Got it? For our folks at home, got it? What modus operandi do you use in impersonating underdog?
Okay, David, are you still there? Oh, there you are. Oh, thank you. You're finally cooperating. I asked if you're there. You turn on the camera, and you're there. Thank you. I even if we get nothing else tonight, I thank you for that one small sliver of a gesture of kindness on your part. David, any recollections of doing that, hosting that show yourself? Anything you want to say about what that experience was like?
You're still an idiot.
Okay. I mean, but that doesn't really doesn't answer the question. Any memories yourself of doing that, other than thinking in your mind that I was an idiot? Okay. Questions. Let's see. Someone, Sour Milk Sea Television, is asking, maybe David could show us something from his house. Somebody thought they saw like a Babe Ruth something behind you, David. Anything you want to share there? It might be interesting, David, like a little, show and tell moment. Okay. Ronald, what do you how do you make a living? How have you made a living all these years? What's your career been?
I've been retired for over 13 years.
Okay. And anything you want to share about your line of work, or?
The current phrase now is I was in IT.
Oh, IT. Okay. Oh, David, that's interesting. That's something we never knew about Ronald. We would talk about comic books and what do you think about that, David? He was in IT. Okay. All right. We have some more clips of David. Maybe if we look at these, this will bring something more out, more comments than we got about his time that he hosted the show. Because honestly, I don't think just being told once again that I'm an idiot is really very instructive or helpful to the audience. So let's see. Let's take a look at some of these clips. And
Song's enough.
No, okay. No, so you go ahead, Stryker. It's okay. I said it's okay.
This is romantic, so I'm going to take my glasses off.
Okay.
Lights out, baby.
Shut up.
We had a busy day.
Shut up!
Okay.
Nighty night.
Shut up!
Maybe.
Shut up! Shut up!
This painting was called Persephone. This is only a lithograph. It's not the original painting because it's snowing outside, and I didn't want to risk damaging one of the original pieces of work that I have hanging.
Okay. Now, is everyone on the panel fans of science fiction, or maybe not a fan, even if you're not a fan?
Does anybody care about this geek and his fairy pictures?
Okay,
Come on, why do you have to book
David.
people like this?
No, David. Okay.
I like Childhood's End by
Child-
Arthur C. Clarke. That's my favorite.
Okay.
The guardian angels will help you. We will take care of you. We will protect you. But my God, next time you're going to wear fluorescent orange, at least tell me to wear my sunglasses.
Okay. All right, David.
You idiot!
Okay. All right. Now.
In the middle of the show!
Okay, you're gonna be all upset now because Lisa Slee picked on you.
Yeah.
And you got.
You with your fluorescent polyester garbage here.
Yeah, you got picked on.
Oh, I don't do this. I don't do this.
There was a girl. There was a girl telling you things.
She told you you weren't a man.
No, she shook my hand.
She told you you weren't. She said she could make you into a man.
Well, she shook my hand and when she left, and she didn't shake.
You're the mutant she's talking
All
about.
right, David. All right, now let's start. Okay. Now, our next guest is a science fiction fan who also I met at Creation. And please welcome Mr. Leslie Holcomb. Hi, Leslie.
Hello.
Now, I guess we didn't get too much into detail about what creation is. Maybe you could just explain it for the people who don't watch.
It's a bunch of weirdos. It's a bunch of weirdos get
Okay.
together and they have a weirdo convention.
Okay, I didn't ask you, David. I think I asked our
I know
guest.
you felt right at home there.
Okay, all right.
Okay, that was a lot to take in.
True. I'm surprised in the 90s anybody would mention reading Arthur C. Clarke.
Yes, that was Lady Betty Aberlin, and someone was actually asking. Let's see. Scott Allen says David always seemed to like Lady Aberlin. Now that's interesting. I wonder how that would have been. David, how did you and Lady Betty Aberlin get along? Okay. David, any thoughts on any of those clips that you just saw? There was Lisa Sliwa. How about Stryker? Stryker was great. Stryker was an original singer-songwriter. He wrote a song about the zip code +4. He was really a real talented guy. David, you'd have to admit, right, that was some genuine talent and originality. Okay. Any other questions? Let's see. Trey's World says Dave was angry the Beatles' hair went out of style 25 years before he was ready to let it go. That sounds like fighting words, David. Maybe you have something to say to Trey's World about that comment. Okay. David, there's also a lot of curiosity about one of our most watched episodes on YouTube. And Ronald, I'm sorry you're not in this one, but it's with the Foxy Boxers. And David, you got in the ring with these women in bikinis, and I think there were two of them, eventually three of them at once, taking you down, and they actually pinned you. Any any memories of that? Any thoughts on that experience? Uh, I guess not. How about there was a clip before where you were hosting, and you very rudely gave Suzanne Muldowney, who is one of our all-time Beyond Vaudeville superstars, and you gave her 2 minutes to appear at the end of the show. Any thoughts about Suzanne Muldowney? Either as underdog, as Vlad the Impaler, as Shelley the Seaside Mermaid, all of her many original creations. David, are you muted, or do you have some gas? Any thoughts about Suzanne Muldowney? You worked with her many times, all the live shows that we did, and her many TV appearances. Surely you must have a thought about Suzanne Muldowney.
Moron.
Is that directed at me once again, or is that meant for Suzanne? I guess we'll just be left wondering. Ronald, how about you? Of all the people you met on the show, any recollection of an especially exciting meeting, or someone that you really enjoyed meeting?
Unfortunately, it's been a lot of years. I remember the hot dog champ trying to get me to eat a hot dog, but even if Dave didn't swat it, I probably would not have.
Do you have any memory of meeting Sammy Petrillo, or
no? Unfortunately, not him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess when we would do these shows, we didn't have a lot of time in the studio to set up and really kind of gab with people, right? A lot of what happened was on the show.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you had people recognize you from your appearances on the show?
If that happened, it was probably in, like you said, the early 1990s.
So it's been a while.
And I think because your show was localized at the time, if I was at a New York City area, probably no one would have seen it.
Right.
Unlike today.
Right. Well, hopefully, if anyone watching tonight ever happens to encounter Ronald Held, just go up to him and tell him what a great guy he is and what great work he did with us on the show, because we always loved having you on, Ronald.
I really thank you for inviting me so many times. I'm just one of many guests on there, and there are a lot more interesting and perhaps popular guests.
Yeah, well, it's a whole mix of humanity that we would do.
True.
David, there's a question from KJR LED. David, do you like playing board games? Now, this is something that everybody must have an opinion on. And even if you don't like something simplistic like Candyland or, I don't know, Chutes and Ladders, there are all those advanced war games that you can play on board games. And David, any favorite game of yours come to mind? How about Operation? The Game of Life? Parcheesi? Tilton Milton. Remember that one? It was like a guy on a hammock, and you had to balance stuff on his arms. Ronald, do you have any favorite board games over the years?
I haven't done much of that in several years. I guess for several decades, I was part of a gaming group in the evening where they would be playing board games.
Aha. And any favorites that you recall?
Toward the latter part, most of them were train games, as is building infrastructure and doing a bunch of other things.
Ah, okay. Did you say train games?
Train isn't railroad games. There would be a section of some part of the earth where you would have to create companies and build tracks and merge with other ones, make lots of money.
Wow. So you'd be like like an old timey railroad baron.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. So David, that's interesting. I didn't even know there were such games. Maybe people in the comments are familiar with these. David, were you familiar with these games? Perhaps you've played them over the years where you're building the tracks. That seems like something that might interest you, being able to line up the tracks and build out your rail line. Maybe next time I see you, we could play one of those games. Ronald could hook us up and tell us, what the right game is to play. And
if the opportunity occurs, yes.
And Ronald, would you potentially be interested in joining us to play as well?
Trouble is, most of these games are not for 3 players, or they don't go well for 3 players. Maybe 4 to 6, depending on the game.
Okay, got it. Well, actually, they might not even go well for 4 to 6 players if David's among the people playing. Okay, here's a question. Who was David's favorite guest? Now that's a legit question. That's a great question, Sour Milk. It's just straight to the point. As someone who hosted a show, I applaud you for that question. David, who was your favorite guest? All right. David, what is your favorite song? Maybe one of Stryker's old songs, the Zip Plus 4. Or he had another one, Ping in Your Pang. If you want to keep your ping in your pang, you got to live right and get the right lovin'. Remember that one? No. I know. I'll show you something else. This is cool. E.T. This is an E.T. tray. Do you remember these, Ronald?
Trays, no.
Oh, yeah. These were trays that you could kind of sit, you could sit in bed and watch TV while you have one of these TV trays. And, the little legs come out and they go right over your lap. And this one was especially cool because it was, E.T. So, after you finished eating your food, you could remove the plate and then just, look at E.T. David, did you have one of these? You probably remember these, David.
Effing toys.
Well, it's not really a toy. It's I guess it's in the toy family. It probably was originally sold in toy stores, among other places. But this isn't really a toy, David. Again, it's a practical thing, which really I would think you would like. You're a practical guy. You when you were hosting the show, you were talking about a prime interest rate and so I would think you would like a tray. No. Ronald, do you have any question for David?
I think it's efficient that we see he's still around and behaving in the fashion I was accustomed to.
So you haven't seen much change in David over the years?
Not really.
Okay. We have a question here from Abundant Universe. Is the bowl you used for your haircut still in the Smithsonian? No, that's a good one. Right, David? I mean, it's clever. Okay. Let's see. Gentlemen Don't Tell says Flip Beats. Ned Merrill says Speak. Let's see. Oh, here's a question for you, David. David, what do you think about the economy today? Now, here again, this is a very straightforward question. It's not silly. It's not like, presenting the kinds of performers and people that I find interesting. This should be right up your alley. What do you think about the economy today? Nothing. Okay. Let's see. Jack Morgan. Oh, this is interesting, Jack Morgan. And I bet some others are thinking about this too, because we get a lot of comments about this. Al Lewis is the only person I ever saw make David genuinely laugh. Was there anyone else who came close? If so, what was it they said or did that was so funny to him? Okay, David, this was an early show. We had the late great Al, Grandpa Munster Lewis. He was so funny and so talented, and he was just going off on you. I don't have a clip of it set, but you can watch it on our YouTube channel. David, what happened? What did Al Lewis say that actually made you laugh? Because me and others have been trying. We've had so many comics on the show, and would say funny jokes and try to make you laugh. Why Al Lewis? Okay, Mud is asking, does it hurt to talk? Scott Allen says he's going to cry. Wow, I didn't notice that. David, are you weepy? Okay. What else do we have? Oh, here's a good one. So behind me, for anyone that might be new to the show, is the legendary Tiny Tim, who had his big hit in 1968 with Tiptoe Through the Tulips, was a really great guy who did multiple shows with us. And his protege, Izzy Fertel, who was also a very talented guy, who would do original songs about the women's rights movement and Marie Osmond. Very interesting guy. He was basically Tiny's Tiny. So the question from Astro Sloth, who actually has a Tiny Tim avatar, says, "What did David think of Tiny Tim?" David, something nice to say about Tiny Tim? A genuine superstar who we were fortunate enough to have on the shows numerous times. And he was always very nice to everybody, very polite to everybody. I'm sure he was nice to you and polite to you. I don't recall any exchanges directly, but any thoughts about Tiny Tim? Okay. Any other questions? How did you and David meet? You meaning me, I guess you're saying, Rob McGuire. We had met at NYU as students where we started doing these shows. And in fact, that brings up another point, because one of the first things I encountered with David was this experience he would have and do that friends and I started calling Thomas Pain, where he would experience this pain, like actual physical pain. And this is out there. There's clips online and some write-ups about it. So, David, do you want to address what that was all about? What was going on in your head? Like many things with you, it just didn't make a lot of sense. But maybe you can kind of clear the air and explain what that was all about. Okay. Ronald, any other questions you have for David?
I don't think it's really wise to go provoke him.
Well, maybe. Well, I see your point, because I'm trying. I thought maybe I could ask him questions that aren't especially provocative, but even those he's unresponsive. Barry Kluger's asking, does David live in New Jersey or on Earth? There's a good question. David, to my knowledge, has been in Brooklyn for many years. And David, surely there's something you have to say about Brooklyn. Hometown pride, favorite spots, favorite subway line, best pizza. Okay, we're hearing hooray for Ronald. I'm with you. Let's see. Adam Overton says, when David looks into the camera, my knees quiver. Quiver. So, David, how does it feel eliciting that kind of reaction out of somebody over the internet? David, what did you get on your SATs? Another comment about Ronald. We love you, Ronald. Ron's in good shape after Mr. Incredible threw him through 3 walls. I guess that's another reference to which we cleared up. You were not a part of that movie, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, that's clever. Scott Allen says David likes board games, Bored. I see what you did there, Scott, with that. David, how about that? That's pretty clever. All right, that's a clever play on word. That would be a homonym. Is that correct, Ronald?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Abundant Universe says David could forget charades. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I can't imagine playing charades with David. Phil DeJean, our good friend Phil DeJean is asking, how about Mousetrap or Perfection? David, do you remember Mousetrap? That was a fun game. Ronald, you probably remember that game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It really wasn't much of a game, though, right? It was sort of like you just slowly building the whole trap, and then one mouse gets caught in it. Yeah. David, was there ever a romance between you and Phoebe Legier? So Phoebe Legier, the singer who was on the episode that David hosted, they did seem to really get very close to one another during that episode. And David, you gave Phoebe Legier maybe 20 minutes of time, and yet left our beloved Suzanne Muldowney with 2 minutes. Was there any romance between you and Phoebe Legier?
No comment.
Aha! Wow. I'm glad any of you who have made it this far, you've actually gotten a somewhat substantive response, other than insults at me and my other guest, Ronald. And Ronald, I apologize for anything he said that might have been offensive toward you today. So no comment. So where does that leave us? So that could mean that maybe there was some romance between them, or there wasn't a romance between them. Ronald, how would you side on that?
Since I didn't see the show, I can't say. Maybe he devoted 20 minutes to her so we wouldn't have to talk as much.
Could be. And David, Ronald put you in your place right there.
No, not really.
Not quite. Amy Frushauer Kelly is asking, Ronald, was that game you were talking about called Empire Builder?
I think that's one of them, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. And let's see. Phil DeJean says, I bet David liked Toss Across. That's true. You got to throw things. David, do you remember Toss Across? Okay. So Ned Merrill is asking what happened to Bub. Kevin and his friend Bub, who was on a lot of our early shows. We're actually trying to track Kevin and Bub down. So if anyone has any leads, please let us know. Trey's World says, it sure looks like David has a lot of knickknacks on the wall behind him for a guy that really hates a lot of knickknacks, ? Aha. Yeah, that's a really good point, Trey. And this is why it's really helpful having these comments. I wish we had these when we did Beyond Vaudeville.
Yes.
Now, that's a great question. David, you complain about all my stuff. Or if you don't complain, you just call me an idiot, whatever. And there you are, surrounded by these tchotchkes, whatever they are. You haven't shared with us what they are. I can't quite tell. Maybe I wonder if it's possible to put you on a solo screen. You think that's possible, Ronald? Let me see if we can do that. I think if I take myself off it, you don't need to see me. I'll come back. Ronald will bring you back.
Oh, good.
It was a valiant effort. Okay. Ronald, Mark Gustave is suggesting that you smoke weed.
Why does he say that?
I don't know. Is that something? Have you ever?
No.
You don't partake in that. Okay.
No, I don't.
I'm not sure why Mark is suggesting that, but okay. And let's see. Yeah, we're going to take maybe 2 more questions here, and then we're going to wrap up, everybody. Let's see. Here's one. This is a nice one. Magnavox Screamer says, David, what is your favorite Halloween candy? That's great. Halloween is about a week away. It's very topical. It's a question everybody has an answer to, right? I'm partial to Snickers these days. Ronald, how about you?
I don't know. There are probably several.
Yeah. Is there one, do you have one kind of go-to candy bar that you just...
For Halloween, I can't think of it right now.
Okay. If it weren't Halloween, do you have a favorite candy bar?
I'm sort of given up eating candy over time.
Okay. All right, David, now we're up to you. I shared my favorite Halloween candy. Ronald, he didn't have one, but he did at least give us an answer. So how about that, David? You give us an answer. It's easy. Favorite Halloween candy? I don't think that's happening. Flipbeat says, I'll marry you, Dave. I want a partner that won't want to talk to or touch me. Oh, that's interesting. David, is
Yes.
there anyone special in your life these days? Maybe Flip Beats and you could, I don't know, go out for a sugar-filled breakfast in Brooklyn or okay. So all right. Kyle X says, why is David so angry at toys when he has dollies behind him? That's you do. You actually have dollies behind you. I'm sharing things like, my Dennis the Menace storybook, which is really cool with original Hank Ketchum art, and like these are cool things. You have dolls behind you, as Kyle X is pointing out. Okay, folks, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. Most of all, Ronald, you're coming on, and it's so
You're
great
welcome.
to catch up with you. David, I thank you for coming, even though you didn't share all that much. What do we know? No comment on Phoebe Legier. We took that home tonight. Maybe we can do this again sometime. Ronald, would you
I
be
hope
up
so.
for coming back
Yes.
sometime?
Yes.
Great. And David, would you be up for coming back sometime? Can we even get a no comment? Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us tonight and all your great questions in chat. I couldn't even keep up with them tonight because there were so many people here. But as you can see, it's getting dark out here on the West Coast. It's getting dark. It's already dark on the East Coast. And we've got to roll along. But if you liked what you saw, please hit like and please subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook and Instagram if you haven't already. Spread the word. Tell your friends and family, even tell your enemies to check out Beyond Vaudeville. We have tons of episodes and other stuff on our YouTube channel. David, last chance, because honestly, we gotta end this. So, anything you want to say to all these great fans that came tonight to see you, to chat with you? Anything? All right, folks, that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. Ronald, have a great night.
Thank
David,
you.
have an okay night. And we'll see you soon. Bye.